no, he got a shout out. No. He's not even here to hear it. That's the annoying part. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Bucket N Hoosier show. It's been a little bit. It's been 2 weeks. I had work stuff. Bucket's been moving, but we're all here together again. Bucket, how are you doing?
Oh, my goodness. I don't think I've slept in 2 weeks, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I basically live off of Red Bull and coffee and the tears of my crying children.
How are the older two doing with the new one?
Good. Actually, the oldest one, he's very helpful. He always wants to hold the baby, which probably isn't really honestly that helpful.
Nope.
And the middle child now used to be the young kid. Took about a week and a half to like give up his baby spot. You know, he's 5 and he was the baby, but he's slowly coming around. He'll go and like pet the baby's head now, more than he did the first couple weeks. So
That's good.
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Well, welcome everybody. We're glad that you are here. There's been a lot and then there hasn't. So we've had a new Rocket League Season 7 came out. Have you even gotten to see it, Bucket?
My buddy D-Flow, he messaged me last night. He's like, let's play some placement matches. So plugged my PC in last night for the first time since the last episode we had 2 weeks ago, because we moved since then. And we're living out of boxes, had a baby, everything's crazy. So I played yesterday for the first time, did like 10 placement matches, played like 5 private matches, and that was it. That's all I've got to play, but not really anything different. I haven't really found any problems. There's a couple bugs like there normally is at the beginning of the season, but I did see it. So I'm there. I'm getting back into it.
That's good. Yeah, it's been really good so far. I think they definitely didn't miss on this one. They hit it very well in that the new car, it looks good, it plays good. The new arena looks good, plays good. The season pass rewards, they actually look pretty decent. I actually bought it this time. I held out last season and didn't get it. So kudos to Psionics in that category. They did a good job this time. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. But yeah, Bucket, starting us off, I did see today Turbo is on his way to London. Yes. But he's not starting. So.
I mean, what are you going to say at this point? Are you going to die on this hill that Turbo is still one of the greatest players right now? Because he's had his time. He's been and probably is. I did see this. I don't know if we've talked about this, but a lot of players were coming out with their Mount Rushmore.
I was just about to ask you.
Is Turbo on yours? Absolutely. Is Turbo on mine? He probably is, because he's one of the pioneers of like winning and overall winning with a new team, and he's got to be on there. But every person on Mount Rushmore is no longer relevant in today's actual society. So I think his retirement is imminent.
Who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh man,
I don't know how much you watched it. It was a very interesting.
I mean, Kronovi, maybe Turbo, Garrett probably.
Yeah.
And then my fourth would be it would be pretty difficult. I'd probably have 3 or 4 different people to pick from. I'm not sure yet. What about you? What are you thinking?
So I'm right with you there. Turbo, Kronovi, Garrett, and then I feel like that 4th slot for me definitely goes to like a K-Dop.
Okay.
Because he has done a lot. Like T-Bates T-Bates had the whole NRG squad on his. It was like, what do you do? Justin is not on there. Justin is not.
That's what I'm saying. You can have like a Hall of Fame, and you can have like the top 10 players ever. But if you're talking about, in my opinion, Mount Rushmore is pioneers, people who built it from like the beginning, people who you always look back and be like, that's one of the people. That's who helped make it what it is today, right? They laid the foundation down. And I'm not sure the NRG team, individuals, did that. The team itself, maybe you could put up there as one of the best teams of all time, or the team that did the most, but I don't think there's an individual in there that Squishy could be. I mean, he's the one who made the transition probably from, I think, Kronovi first to being really popular, but Squishy from being just a Rocket League player to being a YouTuber slash streamer who just took off from nowhere. I think he was one of the first people. So he could maybe make that fourth spot. And there's an argument there.
Who? Wait, you said Squishy?
Yeah. He's been around. He's been around the block. He's kind of formed everything, but I'm not sure he's a definitive person to put there. I'm just saying he laid his own path and other people tried to follow it.
He did lay his own path, but I will always contend that, like, before I eat my own words here, who has K-Dop ever gotten MVP on a world championship?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know, because that's what I was going to say. Like, that's what I was looking at for Squishy, because Squishy didn't even get the MVP for that world championship. It went to Torrent. Or Torment. Torrent. Jesus. So, is that a category that you have to think about when it comes to putting your players on Mount Rushmore? Which, let's see here.
That's tough. I mean, think about in Hall of Fame conversation, probably, but like Steph Curry just got his first one, his first MVP for the finals just this last week ever.
He did, yes.
So,
and that has now kind of cemented his place.
Exactly. It puts another stamp on his passport of greatness.
Those finals, who was MVP? I don't even know where to look at that for like on Wikipedia. Oh wait, here we go. Player accolades. Went to Scrub.
Okay.
Scrub in that one. RLCS 5 finals. They took first. And that one. Nope. Day 1 MVP Garrett. Day 2 Magnus. Day 3 Team 104. They said player of the days. Doesn't look like there's actual an overall MVP. Oh, wait. No, here it is. K-Dop. Yep. He does. There it is. So he does have an MVP. So I would put K-Dop in number 4 instead of Squishy.
Okay. Again, I mean, Hall of Fame conversation, of course. The Mount Rushmore conversation what defines Mount Rushmore? I mean, it depends on how you define it, I guess. But what are you looking at? Lincoln, Washington. Who else is on there? The other people on the dollar bill, Jefferson and whatever. But these are like defining historical figures, right? Like that's what it is. Not just the best or the smartest or whatever. They're like people who defined history. And that's what I'm looking for. And maybe K-Dop does that, but for sure, Turbo and Kronovi. I mean, those two have to be there.
So I think something that does happen with the NA side, because we have said multiple times we don't pay that much attention to EU, is that we kind of forget what's like, who are those figures over there on the EU side. And I know K-Dop is one of those. So as much as, you know, Squishy is Squishy, I mean, he has a signature shot in a Rocket League tournament. He has a save that is known as the Squishy save. But I can't. So I guess that's where I'm looking at it, right? Turbo is kind of a EU NA guy. So Turbo is there. Kronovi and Garrett are my NA standards. Sad part is you can't skip past Kronovi because he was the first. Like, he was it. But then Garrett, Captain America, Mr. Consistency until now, he's always been there. So I had to go into that next slot like, all right, who's a top EU player that's always been there? And it has made a big name for the EU side, and it would be K-Dop. So, but yeah, I guess that's how I look at it. As much as because Squishy I would have to replace, if I was going to put Squishy up there, he would have to replace either Garrett or Kronovi for me. And I would go Kronovi before Garrett.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to argue.
Yeah.
But there is an argument. And then you could get into, are we just talking about pros and players? Are we talking about content creators? Are we talking about
they kept
all kinds of stuff?
They kept content creators out of it.
In their conversation, yeah. That makes sense. Because there's probably 3 or 4 people who have more subscribers than like Squishy does or whatever, and they could probably be at least 3 or 4. Who knows how
You'd
many.
have to put Musty.
Right.
Musty definitely has more in him. Musty even has a signature shot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that conversation over the past 2 weeks was very interesting to watch. And it definitely, I think, got heavily cited by the NA talk. What up, Shiz? What else happened this past week? There was another thing. Lawler had put out a video talking about, I don't know, we kind of briefly touched on this, I know, in a past episode when the tickets first came out for Worlds. But I even got into some talks back and forth with people because Lawler had in his streams, he takes questions and got asking people about, do you think it's they used the word entitled, and I don't know if that's the right word, but the idea was, are the content creators entitled to what they were talking about, i.e. Sunless, just he complaining, kind of, sort of, but he was sitting there saying that, he goes through this whole through the whole line to get tickets, and he got tickets for finals but not day 3 of group stage. So, and I got talking with some people back and forth on Twitter where they're like, yeah, they can go buy a ticket like the rest of us. I was like, I think you're missing the point. I never said that they couldn't buy a ticket or that they needed tickets for free. I stated that they probably should have something to help them get there because they're part of what has built all of this. I mean, do you feel any different?
You're 100% correct. So this might be a weird parallel, but I recently bought this NFT for this this baseball company that I follow called Baseballism. And it's basically apparel, and they have stores all over, and they're starting to migrate into MLB. And they're basically like pop culture references, like around me. But Major League, the movie, or Field of Dreams, or actual players, they have like sponsorships. So anyway, there was only 300 made. And when you purchase one, you get like discounts and you get access to certain things. And they reserved 20 of these for actual MLB players. So like King Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas, Justin Turner, they all got one of these too, but they had to pay for it. But they reserved these for them in the background. Like, all right, we're going to hold these 20. The other 280 is open to whoever wants to buy them. So those 20 people got them. They're not actively participating in anything or doing anything useful for the project, but they wanted them to be a part of it because they're a part of baseball history or a part of what's going on in their world. So I think there should be room for that. And in a place where there's a finite number of something, just like ticket sales, you can hold back X amount and then sell them like family members, right? Same thing for them. The players should be able to get tickets, and even if they have to buy them, like reserve them and say, I need for or you have a maximum of 2 or whatever, so that they have an X number of them and allot them to them. But just saying like everyone's got the fair shake seems fair, but there should be a little bit of ability for the people who helped make it or get you there or are out there exposing you to have the opportunity to come too. That's my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Now I know I did get confirmation that the teams do get like a certain amount of tickets that go out to, they can hand out to like family members or guests that they even want to come. That was even going on in good. CRL. I know I saw a player or two that was just, he had like, I'm guessing his family was already going, but he still had extra tickets to allocate, and he was literally put out too, like, hey, who wants to go? Like, I can get you a ticket. So there's still things like that. Bucket did get a fresh cut for Father's Day. It looks like a little boy. But yeah, like, why wouldn't you do that? Lawler talked about how when even he went, I think in LA, he was trying to go to the bathroom and it turned into like an hour process for him. So why wouldn't you at this point? We've been doing this. The scene's been going on long enough that you wouldn't set up things like that. Like, you have a section for those people because at the end of the day, they are a little special. They have kind of earned that right. They've done a lot of work for Psyonix, garnered a lot of following, and you can make it even a better experience for them. That if they so choose to want to be a part, be in the mix of everybody else, they can go out into that. But if they're wanting to at least just be there and be able to go like to the bathroom or go get some snacks, like they have a little bit more ease of access for what they're going to have to deal with than just like you and I going. Like, we're not going to get stopped 500 times just trying to go to the bathroom. Lawler talked about another, like a story at one of the lands a while back. I think it was like it was in London. It was Justin's like very first one. And he said Justin like walked out to just go to do something and didn't think about it, and he got swarmed. And then Lawler had to like jump in and be like, hey Justin, we need you for a thing that we talked about. And just like, oh yeah. And he pulled them out of the group. So it's things like that. You would think that you're already doing that for the pros. Why don't you help your content creators out who keep generating content in a game that is kind of a struggle at this point to even generate content, and they're still able to do it?
Just from the one experience I had in LA was players were walking around, content creators were walking around, and if you saw someone stopped by anyone, then a line started forming, right? And one of the guys I was with, Snorlax, he tried to say hi to, he got a lot of good pictures and a lot of good experiences, but one time he ran into one of the pros, it was Abjack, and was going to ask him for something, and he was like, sorry, if I stand here and there's going to be a line that forms and I'm trying to get somewhere. Totally understandable. Yep. Let him go. All good. But that same thing, we're seeing the same lines for Sunless and those guys as we were seeing for the players with their jerseys on. I mean, these guys were in regular street clothes too, and people were recognizing them. So you got to give props in some regard. If you have, like I said, I think maybe there's the list of creator codes. There's probably a top 25 who've actually had people put their names in and bought stuff. Like, get those people to the event for free. Make sure they get there.
Or they're no, it doesn't.
Coming. They can pay for it if they want. But right, exactly. Then they're going to find some other content to create. I think that's one of the things about video games is a lot of people will get popular with one thing and then realize that that one thing might either be dying, and not saying Rocket League is, or they can pivot to something else they enjoy more, and do these other things too. And that might be one of those things where they're like, all right, I'm not getting any love. Let me go see what else is out there.
Right. Like, hey, yeah, let's go out there and see what else I can do where I can live a more normal life. Or I guess I don't usually like to use this term, but be respected for the work that I'm doing, because they are being respected, right? They have a community that loves them, wants to meet them, wants to interact with them. So the respect is there. It's kind of the same old song and dance that we see from Rocket League higher ups, is that they're very tight-lipped and not wanting to like I don't know, seem like help out, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. So, but
I know.
yeah,
It's like, it seems so simple to just get a certain number of players to, or creators to the event. And we're not saying like you need a line and a signing thing for them and a tent or something. Just get them there. People want to see these guys at the place where they're going. They want to be surrounded with these people. The fans do.
oh, see, I wanted to go that far in that when you're bringing these people, you're setting up for them to have like, I don't know, actual yeah, like you set up meet and greets for them. You make it into
Yeah.
that big of a thing. Like, hey, you want to meet X person? Yeah, I do. Cool. You can go there at this time. And it
Totally
makes,
ideal.
it makes it that much better for your people that are attending.
But
Shit.
certainly not one step at a time here, right? Like get these guys to the event. If Sunless wants to be there, I mean, you can just go YouTube it. Most Rocket League YouTubers, most subs. Musty, 2.6 million. Sunless, 2 million subscribers on YouTube. And his entire channel is based around your game. And he has a reach of 2 million people who have a reach of whatever. I don't even know the SEO of that.
Yeah,
but
ton.
get my man to all 8 days or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like there's 10, I could name 10 people right now that should definitely be there as long as possible.
Oh, yeah. You just need them there. You just do at the end of the day. So I think we can all agree on that. I don't think anyone here feels any different, but I know there are people out there who just look at it in the wrong way of, oh no, they're just a regular person. It's like, come on. Like open your mind a little bit. Let's think about this. Let's talk about it. So
they are a regular person, but when they go to that event, there are going to be dozens, if not hundreds, if not more, people wanting to meet them or talk to them or pick their brains or get an autograph or a picture. They're not going to do that for you, or not you, but like the person who's complaining about it. That person's not going to get that treatment.
No, not at all. Squad guy going to be there. B Davis, I bet you we see like 10 additional squat guys there at Worlds. I think because even in CRL, there was another guy that just started doing squats. So there will definitely be a new and probably the original squat guy. So can't wait to see that. Well, now that B Davis is in the chat,
it was cute for a minute, but
oh, you're over squat guy?
Let's get some push-ups or something exciting.
Where are you gonna do push-ups in a place like that? Squats are the best.
In the aisle, man. I mean, it's ew, all right, fair enough.
But now that B Davis is here, one piece of, I guess, one topic that is not dying right now at all. They've covered it on First Touch.
There we go.
T-Bates did Twitter squares about it, and there's a lot of Twitter chat about it as well. So we have briefly talked about it. I won't say briefly. We kind of talked about it a bunch, but it's still a good one to keep going over. When it comes to CRL, because we have seen all of a sudden some tweets of some pros are like, oh yeah, maybe I'll go hit the books. Is it time to put in the rule that if you play in CRL, you cannot play in RLCS?
Am I in the minority here?
I think.
Am I the one up against the wall here? I don't understand it.
I really think you are.
Listen, go ahead and type into Google, what is RLCS?
All right, hang on. What is RLCS? Let me go read it. All right. Literally the first thing that pops up on Google. The Rocket League Championship Series, RLCS, is an annual Rocket League esports tournament series produced by Psyonix, the game's developer.
It's a tournament. It's an open tournament to anybody. Anybody. Here we go.
Are they pros?
Technically speaking, you're a pro if you get paid to do something.
So when you and Peach were trying to make your alls run, if you would have made even $1, would you have called yourself a pro?
Yes. I'll call myself a pro. Absolutely,
Well,
though.
that's a bad question.
That's the definition of no, but I get what you're saying. So listen, minor league baseball players are pros.
Minor league baseball
They're
players
not playing
are pros.
in the professional league, though. They're not playing in the major leagues. They're working towards that. This isn't the same. This isn't a feeder league. This isn't a in between league to get from one thing to RLCS. People may see it that way because they're not, those teams are not making it into RLCS, but it is not that. It's not a league. There's
Then should we stop calling them pros?
Why though?
Because I could go.
I'm saying,
I could go play like a basketball tournament, like a local one, and put like money gets put up and win that, and then I've won money in a tournament. Am I a pro basketball player? No.
But you're in some regard you are, yes, but no, you're not a professional basketball player in the sense of the word that you play in the NBA league. Listen, here's the thing.
Remember, hey, wait, can I get one more thing in there? Remember, there was a time when it was a league. They had a legit season before RLCSX.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a time that it was a league, and you had to play your way into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll now let you go.
So if someone could please just tell me where you draw the line then. Do you draw the line? You made it to top 16. Do you draw the line? You made it to day 2 of open qualifiers. Do you draw the line? You made $500. Do you draw the line? I'm in an esport org who also participates in RLCS, who also made it to the top 16. Where is this line at that you're going to draw
so B.
for
Davis
these
said
players?
Top 16.
Top 16 what? Every split? The whole time? Just the major? Where are so if I make it into top 16 in winter 1 and then now I'm not in there, I can't play in CRL ever? Or only until I'm no longer in top 16? Consistently in top 16 you're a pro. What does that mean? Explain that to me.
Consistently top
16. It needs to be a league. Correct.
That would be like your NRG players. Your players on NRG, G2, not I think everybody is talking about your non-bubble teams. Like I know everybody's looking
So we're talking about teams now, or we're talking about players? We're talking about orgs?
What do you mean?
What are we, where, what I'm
using those teams just because those players are grouped on there. I'm not saying that's what defines it. Let's take Lion Blaze. All right. This is the player everybody's looking at right now is Lion Blaze. Lion Blaze.
Should he play in RLCS and CRL? The way it stands right now, I have no problem with it. It's a tournament, and go play in as many tournaments as you can while you can, because there's other people coming up. If you have a contract and you're in a league and this team is guaranteeing you a spot that you are going to play in the top 16 and you're going to make money, then no, do not go play in a college organized team. But that's not what we're looking at.
So I will say, looking at Lion Blaze, because that is the player that everybody is talking about. He is signed to Ghost Gaming. Ghost Gaming is not a consistent top 16 team, but they do get a spot. Well, they do get a spot into closed qualifiers automatically right now, so they don't have to play through open. So I would almost say that's where the gray area is, because we've set our line. Our line is if you are consistently top 16. that means that you are making it to day one of regionals. And they have not. And what is it? NA regional event 2. So was spring the first one that he did? Oh wait, nope. We might be eating our words here. So let's see how many regionals he made it into. NA 3, spring 3. That's a closed qualifier. Spring 2, spring 1. They did not make it in. They made one regional, 2 regionals in winter. Fall. Yeah, I would say that he's that definition of he should not be playing in CRL. He's only missed one regional.
So that's what we're basing it off of. And again,
you just said you were drawing a line of top 16.
I didn't draw the line. That's what someone said on the chat. I said, and then I asked to define that a little bit more. Define it. I mean, consistently. So
would you say that's consistent?
Once you drop off consistently, or now you're no longer on that team, you can go to CRL. Or if Ghost Gaming doesn't make the next 2 or 3 splits or top 16s in a row, now can he go play? Like, what is the definition here? That's my question. Is there's no defining information. It's literally an open tournament for Joe Schmo to go and play without any contract, without any guarantees, without any organizations, without any affiliation to anything, and be at the very top level and can win the whole goddamn thing, to be honest with you. And that's perfectly okay, but it's not okay for those people who are playing at that level, who have no guarantee or permanent status in this tournament, to go and play in other tournaments just because they're good. Define them, give them the money, pay these players what they're worth, make a league out of it. We'll watch this league and be like, okay, now we have favorite teams. If your team is in the Rocket League esports shop, maybe you don't get to play in something else. Is that what you're saying? Is that where we draw the line?
What if you're... I'm trying to pick my wording because you are a stickler for wording. So
I will argue. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but I will take your words and twist them around if you don't.
Oh, I know. I'll do the same.
But you're allowed to do that to me too.
So, like what you were saying, is it? Let's get some. Like, is it? You're basing off of the Joe Schmo who doesn't have any guarantees, the 16-year-old who isn't signed to an org. He's signed to an org, a legit org. It's not like it's a. But
is that org signed to the league? Oh wait, it's not a league.
Actually, no. Hang on. No, there was something there. What is? Because there was a reason that Cloud9 backed out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how do I look this up? Jsu, you gotta know this. Oh, why did Cloud9 back out of there's something to that. Oh, GG, what is this? All right, I'm gonna skim through this real quick.
Interesting, Cloud9 was one of the major organizations not to sign the letter to Psyonix, trying to make RLCS exclusive, which could have been a contributing factor to organization's release, hinting that this may have been in the works for a while now, considering the letter was nearly sent a month ago. What does that mean? So RLCS exclusive. Should RLCS go exclusive? This was written 2 years ago.
I think they didn't go exclusive. I remember this. They wanted to go exclusive.
Over 50% of the RLCS organizations from NA and EU highlighting their grievances regarding practices with the administration, especially addressing communication between Psyonix and orgs, prize money distribution, monetization of the league, and slot ownership. The latter of the points opens up a wide debate on the league format, with many teams suggesting they would be like exclusivity to RLCS, which could be a solution to other problems highlighted. If this happened 2 years ago, my argument would be completely out the window,
if
and
they
nothing
actually
would
went
be
exclusive, but they never did.
No, they haven't. I mean, that's the disconnect here, and it's Psyonix's fault. To be honest with you, it's a tournament. Anyone can join. So why are other tournaments not the same? They are. And Lion Blaze is he's not jumping through hoops. He's just joined another tournament.
Oh,
No one can stop him.
I'm
I
not.
know you're
I'm
not saying he can't do it.
Exactly.
But should he be able to do it? Should he be able to do it? That's the debate. If he had a guarantee, no. But he doesn't.
What's your definition of a guarantee?
Guaranteed money, guaranteed contract,
He does have
guaranteed time,
guaranteed
guaranteed slot in the tournament, top
okay.
whatever. Guaranteed to get to that gray area bar and above for an extended period of time. Right? Like there's 32 teams in baseball. There's 30 however many teams in basketball. When you're on that team, you're guaranteed to play in that league or sit on the bench or be around the league or wear the NBA logo or whatever logo forever or however long your contract is for. In this scenario, that's not the case.
JC saying they should ban RLCS players, but increase the total number of teams that play in RLCS to like 32. Span the schedule out throughout the week. Weekends become playoffs for top teams. So I didn't want to get in like, that's a whole nother subject that I think we're going to have to discuss in the off season, because I think there is going to be changes coming to next season. Because really, if you think about it, this past year, this experiment, because really they used what they did during RLCS because you couldn't do lands. So you kind of had to do this format. And I think going forward, they're going to have to reevaluate how they're doing this, because like you have said, right now, there is there's no exclusivity, right? Anybody can come and do this. So then why wouldn't my players also go and do something else as well when they can? So I think if Northwood didn't win the CRL in the dominant fashion that they did, this wouldn't be a talking point.
Yeah, I mean, there are, what can we say, 100 players who everyone would be like, that guy is one of the best, top 100 player in the world. Maybe he shouldn't be playing in a different league, but there's no defining that right now. And until that's defined, obviously they're going to keep going. But what does that definition look like? I think it goes all the way back to this exclusivity contract that we were talking about, and how even organizations were skeptical on, like, man, how can I be responsibly putting players on my roster and paying them money if we don't have a guarantee that we're even going to be able to show up to the dance?
Right. Well, I don't know if it was so much the dance, like being able to show up. We never found out exactly what that longevity would, like what it was going to entail. It just had always come out that it came down to money. So it sounded like the splits, then percentages, Cloud9 and a lot of other orgs weren't into. So
fair enough.
If that's the case, then they need to figure that out. I think this doing a CRL World Finals like they did really highlighted something that no one wanted to talk about, but at the same time, it wasn't an issue at the time. So
CRL is college basketball. What does that mean?
So I think where Papa B is going with that, and we've kind of talked about that before. I don't disagree with Papa. The problem is that, like you have said, RLCS is not a league. And I have pointed out that CRL is not sanctioned by the NCAA. I don't think I agree with you that it's a lower league. So it's like college basketball to the NBA. I think that's 100% correct. But when you get down to the legalities of it,
when you're talking about talent, or you're talking about pulling players from that pool of players, right? Like that's what we're talking about. What everyone wants to see, in my opinion, from the arguments I've heard is there's the basic players, then there's the amateur players, and then there's the pro players. But we don't have a pro league, an amateur league, and a general player base. We have all of that mixed.
Right.
That's what Rocket League is. And so they try to define it by being like, there's this many teams and players in the RLCS, this huge tournament of best players, but best players could literally come from any part of that pool. So why, because you made it up to this league, you can't go back down if you might not ever make it up there again? It's hard. It's just a hard argument.
It's a very hard argument. I'm waiting for at some point of the colleges to move esports out of the club category and into the actual like sports category, because I think that's what would drive the big change. Because that's what esports right now at schools are. They're clubs. They're not.
But you're gonna get NCAA digging their claws into it.
But
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but they're organized at least.
I mean, I don't.
Then you got to have accreditation for your college, things like that.
Which then goes back to, I wish I knew what team got thrown shade on. There's been comments out there of, JC, maybe you know, who is the team that is the online school? Because somebody in T Bates' Twitter squares even said that they think it's bullcrap that you could do online school and then still compete in CRL instead of actually going to a school, which that, I mean, that's kind of iffy in and of itself. I think it is, isn't it? I think it is Northwood. I think there was another school too that someone was talking about as well. But yeah, they're online colleges and you're competing under their name in CRL. I don't know how I truly feel about that.
Yeah, it gets shady. You got to have rules. But again, this isn't what I haven't looked at the specifics to what schools can get in and what the players have to do to be a part of that organization. But that's certainly where you start.
We could probably all enroll at like University of Phoenix and just start the Rocket League club and then compete under the University of Phoenix.
No, we all enroll in JSU.
Justin, start your own college now. Get accredited.
I don't know. It's hard. I would love, if we want to lose the open qualifiers, then we can get this whole thing sorted very easily. You're a pro player. You're not a pro player. You cannot play in another tournament or league. You can. That's simple. But until that happens, there's nothing you can do.
I don't know. And I don't know if we really want to lose the open tournament of RLCS, because it's kind of like March Madness, right? It's the big dance. Anybody can make a run. Is it very likely? No. But when there is that team that comes in there and shakes things up, is it pretty fun? Yeah, it's kind of enjoyable.
But all of those teams are playing, right? Like in their respective regions and divisions and all that in order to play their schedule, in order to become one of the top 65 teams in the country, in order to get to the tournament. Like, if that were the case and there's 100 Rocket League teams and they all get to play on a schedule and they all get paid based off of X, Y, and Z, and then the top 16 go, then all 100 of those teams would be forced into the same rules. That would be a great, honestly, answer, but you would have to have 100 organizations or whatever.
Well, I would say it's you make the rule that if you are signed to an org, then you cannot compete in CRL. That doesn't like it. That would still allow for, if you're in CRL, you can go try and compete in RLCS.
But what if the org doesn't make it to RLCS and you technically never even sniff the dance floor? Like you don't even get to close qualifier day. You don't even get to day 2 or 3. Like you're constantly not. They're just going to drop you and then you can go to CRL. Okay, where's that? There's a gray area there that I'm trying to get to where these players might not ever make it onto the screen.
Oh,
but they're
where's Peach when we need him?
into playing this way.
I'd be interested to ask Peach because who's his group that he was coaching with?
Empire.
How many players does Empire actually have legit?
They have like
signed
a bunch of teams
So
too,
I
like
remember they
Empire
have-
Black and Empire Red and Empire. I don't even know, but yeah, they have varying degrees. I know like Mizu was on one of the teams, or it might still be. So top 100 players, top 10 players in the world, all the way down to starter pros, bubble pros.
So let's look at that. Mizu, 21.
He's never made it to the dance.
Yeah, I would. I don't know. I feel like for me, that's the line. Is if you are signed to an org, yeah, Mizu is on Empire, you're right, Mark, then you cannot compete in CRL. But I don't know what the after effects are of that when you have like a Mizu or somebody else, like maybe not them, like they're on the top team. If like the second and third team for Empire, any of those players, like what does that mean for them? Because I'm curious how much, and this goes back to a conversation that you and I always have, is we would love to see some contracts. What are people getting paid on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. But there's also other tournaments too, right? Like I know it's been a while, but like DreamHack and whatever else these guys play on the side, like does those go away too, or only these two because they're sponsored by Psionics?
So remember the DreamHacks and whatnot; those were like Psionics sanctioned tournaments.
So similar then.
Yeah, that's what a lot of these lands were supposed to be. They were supposed to be at like a DreamHack or like those big events. But I would I would say for CRL, like if you have like an open tournament, there's nothing that except for what is written in, say, like Stephen Curry's contract. Like he probably has things stated in there like you can't go play this or that. But if that's not written in there, then you can go play in any of those open tournaments. But as far as what CRL, and that's the thing, Psionics needs to come out and define what they want CRL to be.
Look at what Counter-Strike. It's 4 regions currently comprised of 24 teams each season, including 12 permanent partnered teams. It is clearly defined that these players on these 12 permanent partner teams cannot go play in some other tournament or a lesser or amateur style tournament. Like that is very clear just by reading what it is.
What did you find?
Like just look at other esports leagues like Counter-Strike.
Okay. But those all have the exclusivity that Psionics is trying to do.
Exactly.
So, Jesu, you just about made me spit my drink out. There is, at Iowa State University, $60K to be a Rocket League coach. Wow. With inflation, that's like 20.
But no, that's a good. I mean, that's
go apply for that
pretty,
right now.
Seriously, I wanted to have a man. I'm ready to make a career change. Oh Lord! But seriously, there's something to be said for where this whole thing is going, and I believe kids are seeing the potential in all of this. Rocket League being one of the probably fastest growing and still in its, I know it's been out for 8 years or whatever, but it's still in its infancy of the esports league and trying to figure out where it's going to end up. But there's so many people who are invested in esports leagues who are invested in way bigger things than that because they know that this is going somewhere. This is here to stay and it's the future. So defining this as quickly as possible and getting some actual real people for us to root for a long period of time is probably the most beneficial move for them. Like Psyonix really needs to, and I think that's what all of these debates are going to spark for them. They're going to go, we got to figure this out. Otherwise, it's just going to be pure chaos with the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely need to take this off season and figure it out fast. They got to get define some things in there. Like JC said, there's a lot of big institutions. There's so much money in the college realm that I don't think, like, Moist Esports can't keep up with that. I think NRG could barely keep up with that. They're probably the closest ones that can at this point with their big, I mean, they're the general NRG. So yeah, I'm trying to look at this tweet at the same time. Yeah, huge opportunities there. So is it having announced that Redbird Esports is hiring, we're looking for head coaches for fall of 2022. These are coaches, not director, coach, everything else. Iowa State University is excited to continue to raise the bar for college esports. I had a coworker like a year or two ago ask me, she goes, hey, she's like, my son came to me and said something about scholarships for video games. Is that legit? I'm like, yes, it's very legit. It's happening. And even they were like, oh, so it could be beneficial. It's like, it's 100% beneficial. So there's parents that are cluing in more and more to this, like, oh, my kid should probably focus on this a little more. But yeah, it's got to be defined. Oh, so they do have a League of Legends head coach. Oh, so what's the League of Legends college scene like? I think that's the game that I keep comparing everything off of that Rocket League needs to go to. Because League of Legends is so established.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I went with Counter-Strike. But League again is very confusing because the game has the word league in it, just like Rocket League has the word league in it. So everyone just assumes
do have a legit
league. Correct. I don't know the format of it, but a quick Google search. What is it? League of Legends Champion?
College Championship. I see 2019. Not really seeing anything past that. Oh no, there's a 2021 video. Oh.
Yeah, I have no idea how it works. It looks complicated.
It looks complicated. What is this website? League of Legends College Championship. They only have 8 teams.
Each annual season of competition is divided into 2 splits, spring and summer, which conclude with a double elimination tournament between the top 8 teams. At the end of the season, the winner, runners-up, and third-place teams of the summer playoff qualify for the annual League of Legends World Championship. Yeah.
Ooh, here we go. College Championship eligibility. Oh, here we go. I found the rule book.
Yeah, baby. That's what we love. Rules. We need rules. We live in a society, people.
Oh, stop it. Competition eligibility. All college season teams and players must be associated with an accredited higher learning institution in the United States or Canada, including 4-year colleges, 2-year universities. Player eligibility. In order to be eligible to compete, players must be 17 years old at the time of competitions. Players who turn 17 during the season are allowed to compete once they turn 17. Players must be enrolled, good standing, and are competing as a full-time student or part-time student. For avoidance and doubts, a gap semester, players must additionally be eligible to participate in school, sanctioned club, or competitive sports as defined. Oh, it doesn't say anything about. It doesn't say anything about being pro or being in college. So
Interesting.
I'm not seeing anything there. You just have to be a full-time or a part-time student. Part-time student that is a former full-time student with one academic. So you have to be a full-time student. There's a small clause in there like you had one more year that you could play. So it sounds like this is following more of NCAA style rules for eligibility, but it doesn't state in there the whole pro status thing because kind of like we got back to, I don't think anybody has ever stated what pro status is for esports yet outside of just making money. RLCS has to be the longest tournament ever, right? I mean, that's what this has been the entire time. It's kind of why I think we'll talk about during the off season, but if you look at what this year was for Rocket League, it wasn't a league like we were used to before RLCSX. It was a bunch of tournaments. Because you even do that with like Little League, right? You can like club ball. It's all just like travel tournaments. But you're not you're not stuck to just playing with that team. Like there's kids that play on like 2 or 3 teams at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what throws everybody off is, like I said, it's Northwood had a dominant win in CRL. Lion Blaze is a player that is signed to an org. I'm avoiding using the term professional organization. He is signed to an org. And this season alone, they did make the majority of the splits. I think they missed out on maybe 2 or 3. So.
Yeah, it's been going on since October, Davis. And it's Rocket League Championship Series. It's a series of tournaments culminating into a bigger tournament. That's the like idea of it. And it sounds silly, but that's what it is. I mean, they'll tout that. It says that on every page you can go read, and it's ridiculous. But it's how it is with the table, right? Like it's structured like a league in some regard, but it's essentially a series of tournaments culminating into a bigger tournament. And anyone, whether you're in org or not, can play in it. And it's silly.
So I think
but it's fun too. I mean, it's open and it's been that way the whole time. Like I love it, but I also hate it because I like defining things.
Well, I mean, I think what confuses everybody too at this point is this was the first real year where we didn't see the league play. So 2020 into 2021 was RLCSX. And because of COVID, we watched everybody just play online, which they were this format was supposed to happen in that time frame where they were having the LANs and everything else. Go get those kids to bed, Davis.
Yeah, you can come put mine to bed too if you want.
Mine are already in bed.
Must be nice.
But
East Coasters.
Yep. 8:00, get to bed. But I think we all got used to seeing legit league play. Remember back in the day when we were watching like 1 or 2 to 3 matches a week, really. And it was super slow. But it was a legit league. Like only those top 16 teams were playing. And the bottom 2 teams got, or was it the bottom 2 or bottom or last place? Someone got regulated and then someone got promoted from RLRS. And now we've gone to this, and it has been a very exciting year. I think we're finally starting to see some of those potholes with.
It's so long though.
With CRL. Well, I think we're seeing it now. None of it, like, we kind of, it was there, right? We knew, like, I had seen Lion Blaze playing in CRL earlier this year, and it didn't really clue in, like, to me at that point. I was like, oh, whatever. But then we saw a CRL World Championship where the team that he was on clearly dominated. And so now we're starting to have the questions of, well, is that legit? Should they be allowed to do that?
I think the other thing that doesn't help in the argument is that he's not playing for like an accredited physical college that people would know. Like,
hang on.
He's not playing for San Diego State or something. If he was playing for Cal State or Arizona or something like that, would it have been a different conversation? I don't know.
I don't know if it would have been different or if it would have just felt the same. Jasu looked up the numbers. I think it was like they have total undergraduate
like
enrollment is 1,057.
Yeah, it's a high school. 300 people per class. I mean, or less, 250. I mean, you're talking.
The price is wrong, bitch.
Crazy.
So. But
you better have a full beard by Worlds, my man.
Dude,
like,
he's probably gonna take 3 months to grow stubble. What are you talking about?
You better be able to do this with it, like, oh yeah, and have like the mustache. I can see you rocking a mustache.
King Moore, let them boys get their let them young men get their education. So I think Moore's on your side.
Well, finally, someone stepped up to the plate and wants to take the backside here, but it's the lifespan of these kids' careers is so short too. Like, let them play as long as they can. Think about, and they can always go backwards too, right? Like professional athletes who didn't go to college and now they're no longer good enough to play in professional can go back and have eligibility too. Like J.R. Smith is playing golf in NCAA right now. He was an NBA player for 10 plus years.
Right, but he's not playing in the NBA.
But the NBA has 32 teams and 5 players on each team play every game.
Who was what was the name of the quarterback at Florida State who was it Winky? Yeah, it was Chris Winky, right? When he was playing at Florida State, he was not like the same. He was much older than everybody else. I remember that. 72. He was born in 72. And when was he playing at Florida State? Oh yeah, Doc might know. Doc, yeah. Do you remember how old that dude was? I think he was close to 30, I thought. Oh, see, like Moore's late to the party. Dude was like 28. Yeah, he was much older than everybody else. So I we've seen there has been people in college who played college much older because they never solidified that pro status. So, but I have to give you credit in that RLCS is technically not a league. They've been running it the past 2 years as just open tournaments. So then my big argument comes to, are these guys pros anymore? Or are they just average Joes who are very good at the game?
It's hard. I hate the word technically because it makes it sound like I'm trying to like manipulate the conversation, but it's true. And that's where I think we both agree is that we need to define what a pro is, make sure that the pro kids who have this status or emblem or contract or organizational prowess that tells them that they're going to be playing in this RLCS for an extended period of time, that those kids cannot play in something else, but they're guaranteed to do something. Whether it's, again, I said it earlier, I think it was a good idea just based off of like NCAA tournament that you said you have a pool of teams and those teams are professionals. It could be 10 teams, it could be 20 teams, it could be 50 teams, it could be 100 teams. Those teams can be sponsored or not. Those players have some sort of skin in the game, and then they have to play in order to get to the RLCS tournament. And now there's 16 teams who are at the top. Maybe that's the answer. And then anybody who's not in that league or that set of tournaments can go play wherever they want. But we don't have that. And right now, you got to define it. I implore you, Psionics, to give these kids the pro status they deserve in some manner so that we don't have this problem. But as far as I'm concerned, Lion Blaze, keep on killing the circuit, man. Do it all. And if anybody else wants to go to college and play in multiple leagues, hats off to you. I can tell you, having one job is hard enough. Having two jobs is going to put a stress on your life. And then when you go to college and you meet girls, you're really going to be in for some trouble.
Oh, they play Rocket League. That's not happening. But I think I go back to like kind of what you said, right? You implore Psionics to define it and give these players back their legit pro status. Because I think at this point, you're almost doing them a disservice. Because there are players, probably like a Garrett G, who are looking at CRL and going like, yeah, why am I not doing that? That
free money.
Free money. I mean, Lion Blaze said it in his MVP speech. He was like, they asked him like, what do you say to anybody who has doubts about CRL? He's like, you might as well do it. It's money in your pocket. So if that's the case, then I would lean on that Psionics does need to go back and revisit the exclusivity and give the players their respective status and what they have actually achieved in your top league and not risk losing them to go somewhere else. So, yeah, because that's the whole thing right now, right? Is that RLCS is the top players. It's where the top players are. So make it to where the teams that are in the top 16 consistently are like, it's actually very worth it for them. And I'm sure it is right now, but make it to where they don't have to worry about competing with somebody else who is off in another league, like just showing everything up and then getting to come and do like just get like nibbles, but still probably good money in the league that they're dominating right now. So
yeah, I mean, there's just, we've said it all over and over. If I was living my life in a series of tournaments on a sponsored team, I mean, what 3-on-3 basketball tournaments? Like, I'm gonna go around and play in every 3-on-3 basketball tournament I can to make a living, right? Like, that's just how it is. So, and then there's probably the big, huge one at the end of the year that everyone wants to be a part of. And I know that's one tournament instead of a series of tournaments, but it's relatively the same thing until it gets defined differently. But yeah, the fact that RLCS is from October to August or whatever is going to culminate into is wild that it's not a league. I mean, it's just crazy.
At this point, yeah, it doesn't make sense that it's not. And it doesn't make sense that you're not even more rewarding your players that are up there doing that. Because Psionics had to put some sort of money towards CRL. And if I'm a player that's been competing at the top level of RLCS right now, if I'm a Retals, if I'm an Arsenal, Garrett, Squishy, Justin, I'm looking at that going, well, I would wonder. I would be curious to ask them, did your quality of life get any better over the last year, or over your years of playing, or has it kind of just stayed the same? And if it hasn't, then you're kind of doing them a disservice at this point.
Yeah, they gotta retain them. I mean, there's always other players. That's the other problem coming up, trying to take your spot too. So that's with every sport ever. Every year, it's going to be someone biting at your heels.
Yep. And more, we talked about this at length. I think we went a good almost hour talking on this topic. I knew we would. But yeah, we all kind of agree with that, right? We like the Cinderella stories. But at this point, Psionics moving forward, they need to define it. And I don't know how they do it or what they do about it. But they're going to have to figure out something.
Right, because I'm talking in super huge hypotheticals,
Yep.
right? Like, what if me and you and one other person made it? When has that ever happened? Never. So at this point, define a pro. Pros make it consistently. Boom. Now you're a pro. Now your team can be a pro team. Now you stay here with us and we'll make sure it's worth your while. Boom. Done. But they're not doing that yet. They're saying, come one, come all. Everyone's got an opportunity. We're a tournament open to everybody. And that's just, I think that those days are slowly dying and fading away from RLCs.
Yep. Because I honestly think that, and this was something that was touched on, someone asked Lawler about this, and that viewership for Rocket League has gone down. And I think it's something to be said that the tournament, it's been almost too long. It's been too long to get to Worlds.
So
long.
My gosh. I mean, why did it take 3 splits to get to Worlds? It could have been 2. It could have been it could have been 2 regionals and 3 splits, or 3 splits and 2 regionals, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they probably just need to put it like 2/3 of what it is, or at least 75%.
If I had my ideal suggestion, I think, and I really just thought about it, you go like the length of, well, I guess it's kind of gone the length of an NBA season, but like, make it worth it. Like, do a legit season, and then you have the rest of the time you allow for the community to push like tournaments that bring out more of those bubble teams. And you actually
10 months though, King Moore. I mean, that's crazy. There's no other sport that goes that long.
It doesn't. How long does baseball go for?
It's 162 games. It's from
too many games.
April to October. That's still only 9 months.
So it's close.
And that's including
that's 6 months.
The World Series and all that.
That's 6 months.
Oh yeah, that's right. I said 9. You're right.
Yeah. So 9 months is on your brain because you just had a kid. Which we need to let Bucket get back to that. We thank all of you that tuned into tonight's episode.
Back to reality.
Yep, back to reality. Here we go. So I'm traveling. I'm gonna have to miss next Monday. When does London kick off? Let's find that out before we go. 8 days away.
So the 29th is when they'll do the grand finals on the 3rd.
Hang on, I'm looking at my schedule real quick. When am I gonna be?
So
Crap.
they'll go play those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games, and then they'll have probably the Friday, Saturday, Sunday finals. First, second, third.
So yeah, so I won't be back until I don't know what time on the 30th I get back. Buck and I will talk. We'll keep you guys updated in Discord, and we'll try and get back on and talk before the finals of London, if we can work it out. I know I would really like to, because I think this is going to be an interesting land all the way around. So I'm curious.
Yeah, I want to do predictions and pick'ems and try to get some people involved in some stuff if we have the opportunity. But we'll definitely make sure that you're available.
Yes. If you haven't already, we would suggest that you join us in the Discord, and we will try and get something going. We'll make sure we communicate in there, and yeah, we'll keep everybody updated. Bucket, do you have anything to say before we go?
I love you, B. Davis. I love you, man. We're going to continue to die on our own hills until we meet in person. We'll drink on it or something. But it's an argument that I just don't think is winnable until someone from the league comes out and says, we're going to define it for you. But I had a lot of fun today, and I love when people have their own. This is what makes these things so much fun, is the fact that we can come here, talk about it, have something that we all feel some sort of way about, whether it's passionate or just recreational. But I don't have a lot of this kind of stuff in my everyday life anymore. There's not a lot of things that I like would come and argue about or have. Most of the time I'm just gonna be like, yeah, all right, you're cool, I got other stuff to worry about. But this is just so much fun. I really appreciate all you guys coming by and saying hi, and I hope we can get some of you guys on here to just chat about it, because apparently there's only 2 months where they're not going to be playing RLCS.
Right.
So after the season's over, boom, we're going to be right back into it. But yeah, thanks for coming by, and let's keep it up.
Yes, let's keep it going. More, I would suggest you go back and watch this episode back. We cover a lot of those things that you were talking about. And everybody, have yourself a good week. We'll communicate with you guys and keep you updated. Have a good one.